relationship therapist, and she has some views that I think should be heard about picking partners and things like that. And so I want to say hi to everybody. And my name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, in case you don't know that. But my name doesn't matter. So you were talking earlier about, there's like this debate going on about couples coming together based on, looks or money, or, like I need a man who makes a certain amount of money, or how do I attract a woman who looks good and stuff like that. And you kind of seem to have a challenge with some of the superficial stuff, and kind of based on the research, what was on your mind?
Well, I mean, I just had an issue with, I think financial security is so important in relationships. Like, you can't deny that, but when you base your relationship solely on financial security, that's where I have an issue, So also good looks are important, but when you base a relationship on the way someone looks, like those relationships are just troubling to me.
Okay. So you think looks and like money, I guess I'll ask everybody. So what do you think? Do you think looks and money matter when it comes to a relationship, or do you think it shouldn't matter at all? Or what do you think? I mean, like, so it almost sounds like you're saying looks don't matter. Like, I can say when I met you, what you look like did matter. Like, if you look different, I probably would have had a different reaction. So what can you help me kind of understand, like calibrate that? Like, so that, because if you look like an orangutan, I don't know if I would have been as enthusiastic. I would have been like, you know what? You are the greatest friend I ever had with your ugly ass.
I wasn't. We were good friends.
Yeah, we were, right.
The way I look, and you were who you were.
Right. So what? How do I make that distinction, right? Because if somebody says looks and money should matter, I don't think that's consistent with the real world. Like, I think women like men who can provide financial security. I don't think that means everything, right? Like, I don't think that makes a man into a good man. I've actually talked about that a lot in terms of telling people, like, look, don't just go chase a man just because he's got money, or don't go trust a big butt and a smile, with a woman. So how can I balance that? Like, give me some research to help me balance.
I don't know about research, but I can just say, based on my clinical stuff, is that if you base a relationship, I think what I was saying is that that's the foundation of your relationship. Our foundation is based on how much money you have. My foundation is based on what you look like, or can this person pleasure me in a certain way? I'm going to base so relationships that are based on that, they never last. Or okay, Boyce, let's me and you get together so that we can be a power couple. Like, if we're basing our relationship on, okay, let's have these things, those are primal energies.
Okay.
And primal energies, it fluctuates up and down. Sometimes you have some, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you look good one day, sometimes you don't. And if you base your relationship on that, those relationships are doomed to fail. And there's a lot of bitterness and a lot of disappointment and a lot of misunderstandings. When it's based on what this person can do for me, what I can do, I do for you, quid pro quo. You do this for me, I'll do this for you. You look a certain way, let's me and you be a power couple, and let's look for fame. Like, those relationships, are really are not based on love, because we've never even talked about love.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. So all right, so I'm hearing what you're saying. Okay, so I'd like to learn more about that. So I'll say this. It seems to me, first of all, let me ask everybody, give me a yes real quick if you can hear me, if you can hear us talking. We're sharing a microphone, so we want to make sure you can hear us. And so Uncle Boyce and Aunt Alicia decided that we wanted to come in and provide some perspective. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's funny, somebody mentioned they mentioned, the brother Kevin Samuels, and they said, they were asking, they did a whole video, a whole show basically saying, why is Dr. Boyce triggered by Kevin Samuels? And that kind of, I kind of felt bad about that, just because I don't dislike Kevin. I just felt, I have a heart for people that maybe feel like, okay, I don't have a chance because I don't make six figures, or I don't have a chance to be high quality because I don't look a certain way, or I'm going to die alone. I think that's kind of a heavy thing to tell somebody, and it's a hard thing to predict. And so I wanted to provide nuance to it, but it wasn't like I was disagreeing with him or fighting with him or saying, oh, you're wrong, you're crazy. But I think hearing from different points of view, like maybe people, and it's weird putting our relationship out there like that because we're human, and human beings have hurdles, right? To say the least, right? And it's like, okay, well, let's be vulnerable and go ahead and share some of that, because I think some people kind of maybe can gain from kind of understanding from that perspective. So tell me, so tell me more about what you were saying as far as, like, I can see what you're saying about the superficial stuff doesn't seem to last. Like if I just, I'll give you one example, like makeup. Like I feel bad. I knew a lady that wore a lot of makeup, and then she wore so much makeup that it damaged her skin. So when the makeup wasn't on her skin, she looked like a different person. And so what would happen is she would take the most amazing selfies, and all the men would be in her DM like, hey girl, let's get together. And I think she gained a fear of intimacy because she knew that once the men got to see her without her makeup, it would be over. Like, because the only thing that brought you in was how I looked in my selfie, right? So I don't know. Can you kind of speak to maybe some of that in terms of that superficial piece and why you can't sort of build off of that?
Well, the thing is that my issue now, unlike you, I did have issue with Kevin Samuels. I have an issue with someone giving another person advice and telling them you're not going to get a man because you're a 6 at best. You're not going to get a man. You're looking for a 6, and I have issue with just that person saying, I'm looking for a 6-figure man. If you're basing it on that. So that's why I was saying, if someone was to listen to him and say, oh no, I need to be a 10 on the outside, those things aren't going to last. You need to be a 10 on the inside. Okay. Those are the things that permeates, and that makes you a 10. If you feel good about yourself, you're going to be a 10 to the right person, no matter what you look like. I also have an issue with other people saying, okay, to get a man, you need to gain 10 pounds, or you need to lose 10 pounds, or you need to fix your hair a certain way, or present yourself in a certain way. No, you need to present yourself as your authentic self. Know who you are. And part of that's what I was saying, like, where's the love in the conversation? Part of it is self-love. You have to have this self-love. You have to have confidence in yourself. Compassion for other people, compassion for yourself. That comes first. Be a 10 in the way you feel about yourself. And that's how you permeate out, because your outward appearance is superficial. And when you hang your worth on how much money you make, when you hang your worth on what I look like, the things that I can possess, the things that we can do together, and not based on anything substantial, those are people with very low self-esteem. You don't feel good about yourself, because I only feel good about myself when people on Instagram gives me a bunch of hearts. What is that on Instagram? How many likes? How many likes I get? My worth is tied to how many people like what I post. And that's why there's such a high correlation between social media and depression. Right. It's because I'm basing my worth on people paying attention to me in this way, and it's not based on you on the inside.
Okay, so what if you have two people that have both of whom have equally high self-esteem, and one of them looks like a supermodel and the other one looks like, the bottom of somebody's shoe? Like, is it not logical to say that, let's say that there's some things you could do to enhance that person's look? Like you say, like, do your hair different. You could lose a little weight. You're about 350 now. Let's get you down to about 210, maybe. Right? Is there anything wrong with helping somebody enhance their ability to attract? Because when people are deciding that they want to approach you, all they see is what they see. They can't see your insides. They see what they see, right? So or telling a man, like, hey, we know that it shouldn't matter that you've been a Burger King employee, but you probably would attract more women if you put yourself in a position where you can earn a little more money and have a little more status, at least become like assistant manager or something. Show some ambition at the Burger King, right? Like, I think the ambition would be a way of showing, like, what kind of man I am, right? What do you think?
Boyce,
you think those things don't matter?
Boyce, this is the thing. I fell in love with you because of who you are. I had no idea that you were the Boyce Watkins when we first started dating.
Okay.
I had been your friend for such a long time. I had absolutely no idea what was going on in your business life. I didn't even know the Black Business School. I wasn't even on social media. This is my first time being on social media right now, but I wasn't even doing that. I fell in love with you as a person. You know, you were 30 pounds you were 30 pounds heavier than you were right now when we first started dating.
Right.
You know, I fell in love with your little chubby self. Right. It had nothing. And the thing is that I didn't know what your finances were. I was like, boy, she need me to give you some money. I was ready to give you some money. Wasn't I saying that?
Ready to buy me some White Castles.
Let me take you out to dinner.
Take me to Red Lobster for the cheddar biscuit.
You know, and that's what it was. That's what it was, who you were. It was you as a person. All that other stuff. I mean, and the thing is that if you're in a relationship with somebody, you build together. You have to learn how to speak your truth. You have to learn how to talk to somebody. You need to learn how to be honest with that person. That's what sustains a relationship. Loving yourself, speaking your truth, understanding that me and you, we have goals together, Boyce. We have financial goals together. We work on these things together.
Right. Okay.
You know, these are things that we're building together. And that's what's key in a relationship. The looks and the money and all that stuff, it fades. It's not sustaining. It's who you are. And I don't care if you could work for the post office and I would still love you and marry you. And that is not what I'm hanging. Our relationship is not hanging on how much money you make. That's why I'm with you to the end. And I said, Boyce, your whole business can collapse. It's okay. You have me.
Okay. And those are things
that's unconditional.
And those are things that I love about you, right? Like those are things that, you know, when I did meet women that were interested in the superficial things, that's what would give a woman a leg up, is that people who are heavy on the superficial stuff, some of them develop a taste for people that are not caught up in all the hype. So like if you were caught up in what I could do for you financially and I picked up on that, then that would be actually kind of a turnoff, because I need to know the rest of who you are, right? But here's the thing. I love that about you. But according to 16personalities.org, there's at least 16 different personality types. And when you say this is what I was thinking, like I wouldn't care about money or anything like that, that doesn't necessarily speak for everybody, right?
I'm saying I'm not hanging on relationship.
Right. I agree with you. I hear you, right? So just like somebody said, you know, like Kevin Samuel's perspective isn't for everybody. But it is for somebody, right? Because that's why people are there and they're like, okay, I like this. This helps me, right? So it almost seems like
I critique Kevin only because what he's telling people, you have to look a certain way. That's not going to sustain in a relationship. It's not going to sustain you.
Well, what if your goal isn't necessarily to have a long-term relationship? What if your goal? Hold on. What if your goal was just to bag more chicks? What if you were just like, you know, look, I don't really care about trying to get nobody to marry me. All I care about is attracting the people that I want and having options. Like wouldn't there be some value for that kind of advice? Like just like don't worry about all the extra deep stuff until you get to that. Cross that bridge when you get there. First bridge is winning that competition where they're looking at you next to a bunch of other people and deciding who to pick.
Okay, what I would say to that is that if women, ladies, if you're looking for a man that's gonna hit it and quit it, you listen to what Kevin Samuels is saying. Okay. If you're looking for a man that's going to get on his knees and he's going to propose to you in front of millions of people, you listen to what I have to say about relationships.
Oh, touche.
Because every man I've dated has been 6 figures and higher, and I haven't even looked for men who are 6 figures and higher. That is, I don't know what to say to that, but that's wasn't my criteria.
Yeah, but also remember, you know, you were the prettiest lady I met when I was at IU. So I think that sometimes a person who is attractive, who has no problem attracting people, can not be able to relate to the person who's really deeper in the competition. Like, so for example, I'll give you an example using myself. Like once I got to a certain level of status and, you know, and all this other stuff, everybody was really nice to me. Like it was really easy to get people to do things. I'd be like, oh, that person's so nice. And they'd be like, no, that person's really a bastard. They're just nice to you because you're Boyce. But everybody else, she's really mean to, right? And I think that sometimes like I would wonder if if attractive people can be like, oh, it's easy. Just be yourself and everything will be fine. Almost like Michael Jordan saying, oh, just go out there and play and you're going to win championships just by playing. Just go out there and just do your best. It's going to work out. Well, everybody ain't LeBron James or Michael Jordan. What if you're not LeBron? How do you step up and compete with the LeBrons of the world? I think that's kind of a dilemma, don't you think?
Well, part of it is that you have to learn how to trust yourself. You need to you have a gut. You have a gut feeling about things, and you need to listen to your inner voice and listen to your gut about people. When I meet people all the time, I've been meeting a lot of people, I go with my first impression, my gut feeling about that person. And that's how you have wisdom, you have to trust your gut.
Okay.
That permeates through a lot of things.
I hear that. Well, what I will say is that I don't think anybody, I think that everybody can have their perspective on it. I think that what you said that really resonated with me is what it made me think about is, knowledge of self and self-love. Right?
Yes.
Like I know one thing that helped me a lot is knowing myself well enough to know what I want, what I don't want, what I'll tolerate, what I won't tolerate. And then loving myself is what allows you to know that despite all the other superficial stuff, there's more to you beneath that, that will allow you to attract the right person and get, in the right situation. And I think also one of the strengths that I felt that you had was, I thought you were very attractive on the outside, but then when I saw the inside mixed with the outside, it was like, wow, this is awesome. That's what made you unique, right? Like a big button, a smile, or a couple curves. You see that everywhere. You see that on the internet. Like there's curves everywhere. There's sexy women all over the earth. But when you really talk about people that have worked very hard on developing who they are on the inside, and in terms of being, decent and humble and kind and loving and nurturing and all these other things, I don't know if there's enough work on that, right? I think that we will critique, at least when I look at like magazines and stuff, they'll talk all day about what you look like on the outside, but I don't see a lot of people saying you need to do the work on yourself on the inside. Like they'll tell you two things. They'll tell you how to fix your outside to make yourself look better, and two, how to judge other people, right? Like what, like if a man does this, then he's no good, or if a woman does that, she's no good. But I don't see a lot of challenge to say, what work are you going to do to work on your inside so that somebody will even want to be around you?
I agree with that. And not only is it good for a relationship, but it's also good for the family members in the house, the children in the house. Children, if they have, if we had just our relationship on, Boyce, pay my bills, Boyce. If our relationship is just based on those primal, I guess I can get into chakras and all of that about low level. I can talk about that all day.
You can talk about chakras. That's fine. Yeah,
I'll talk about chakras later.
They tell her it's okay to talk about chakras and metaphysics. Yes, they do know about metaphysics.
I can do a talk on that.
It's mostly the women that are into that they come in here, but some of the men too. Like you can talk about whatever. Like I don't think that's over anybody.
You don't think that's correct? Okay, so so the safety and security I was talking about, that's your root chakra. That's developed when you're between the ages of 1 and 7. That's your root chakra. So the second chakra is your sacral chakra. That's just sexual energy. That's developed when you're 8 to 14 years old. And if you think about it, all of Cardi B's songs are all about the first and second chakra. She doesn't talk about anything higher than that.
Lower level needs.
It's lower level energies.
Lower vibration.
Lower vibration and lower energies. And that's what, I never thought I'd talk about chakras today, by the way. But it's lower level energies. And that's just primal energy. If you think about it, all of that is developed by the time you're 14 years old. So if you're basing a relationship on that, then you're basically functioning like a child. You know what I mean? You're basically functioning like you're not even an adult at that point. We haven't even talked about love. You know what I mean? And so when it's based on love, and again, I say it's self-love and self-compassion, when it's based on that, your children have that. You emulate when our kids see us, we love on each other all the time, Boyce. Like we're constantly hugging and kissing each other all the time. And they see that they are living in a house full of love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that sort of love, that's how we break generational curses. Have some love in your family.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like children have to grow up and see their parents fighting with each other and arguing with each other and breaking up and all of these things. You know, that's not good for the child that has to sit and listen to that and hear that. You know what I mean? So when you have love with each other as a couple, you're going to permeate that love to the children in the house.
Mm-hmm.
When you speak your truth, okay, speaking your truth, that's the throat chakra. We're going to talk about chakras. You know, you speak your truth, you're being honest and you're being compassionate and you are being your authentic self. I'm not telling you what you want to hear. I'm being honest with you, Boyce, about everything that's going on with me. You know, never have I lied to you about anything because I want to speak my truth because, you know, that's what makes me my authentic self. And I know if we want to talk about, I don't know, getting higher up on the chakra levels, I know that we're together because there's a bigger purpose than me and you. Like I knew from the moment I met you, I was like, wow, I found him. I had no idea what that meant, but it was a very spiritual moment when we met.
Yeah, it
was a really magical time. I was 19 years old and I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea what it meant. I was like, what does this mean? But I knew that I needed to stay in contact with you. And I did stay in contact with you.
Yeah, you did. You really did. You did. Because I was pretty antisocial. I wasn't.
You weren't going to be antisocial with me. You were coming out of your shell.
Yeah, in case you haven't figured it out, she's the social one. She's the social butterfly. I'm the nerdy math major, introvert. Yeah, well, you know, I think that's a good. I mean, I learned a lot. You know, like I'm practicing trying to hear different points of view. I think that where I always stand on almost everything is I believe there are always lots of truths from different perspectives that I want to hear, right? And I think it's more like figuring out, okay, what are you trying to do, and what is your goal, right? And when I think about love and all that other stuff, I think about the stage one, the attraction, right? And then I think about stage two, which is getting along, just having a relationship, which obviously we all need to work on because we are damaging our kids when we can't at least have a functional situation that maintains a structure long enough for the child to even be born. I mean, there are people who get pregnant and they break up before the baby's even born, which, you know, your child's born in this void of family, you know, and then that third stage.
What do you mean by void? Okay, finish your third stage.
Okay, the third stage would be marriage, right? Marriage is where you have a different level, a deeper committed construct that has legal implications, financial implications, things like that. And I feel like that has a whole nother set of dynamics, right? And I think the question would become, like, if I'm talking to somebody about relationships, I'd be like, okay, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And what I find a lot of times is more so on the female side, it might be more related to lasting relationships, but not all the time. Sometimes they may want to just hook up, but I don't think women will have a hard time just hooking up and getting sex. I think it's like the harder stuff is like getting the love and the relationship and the marriage that becomes the puzzle. For the men, I don't hear men saying, I just really wish I could find a way to get married. They just don't. I never had that problem. I mean, I literally can think of 20 times where I could have got married in the first month if I wanted to. But what men are looking for is just to be attractive to women, to have options. You know, I know when I was single, that was my goal. Like, how do I just have options where I have 10 women that are all dying to, like, you know, do whatever I ask them to do.
What?
You know? Yeah, like, not with you, of course. I mean, when you're here, you're who I look at now. But I'm talking about when I was younger. This is 20 years ago. But seriously, like, that's what. So that's what, you know, when you talk about different styles of whether it's dating advice or whatever, I see dating advice differently from like relationship advice, which might be different from marriage advice. But either way, though, I think no matter what area you are, once you know what you want, you should get advice. That's my 2 cents. What do you think?
Okay, you should get advice. I mean, I think the biggest work that you should do, you know, if you're looking for somebody, you should write a list of all the qualities you want in that mate, and then you become all of those qualities.
So I don't know about that. I don't think you have to be what you want, right? Like, no, like, I think it's okay for a woman to say, I want a man who makes good money, but I ain't got to make good money because I look good. Because men who have money, like people like Kevin might say this, men who have money do not care how much money you have. I did not care how much money you make. I just didn't. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So I'm talking different.
Go ahead.
I'm talking about what qualities do you want in a mate?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Make a list of them. Pick the five qualities you want in a mate, and then focus your energies, because everything is energy and everything attracts. I'm getting into that woo-woo sort of space. Find out what qualities you want in that person, and then you become those qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And you will attract that person to you.
I can see that. Well, I think if you look at general things, like if you're a kind person, well, you know what? It's funny. I don't know if kind people attract kind people. I think kind people will attract all people, but the assholes might be attracted to the kind people because they feel like they can get over on them, right? So I think a kind person needs to also be kind enough to themselves to demand what they're offering, right? Like if I'm going to be nice, I insist that you be nice to me if I'm nice to you.
And I think that is, you know what? That is like, God, that is good, Boyce. Good. That is really good. You know, it really is. You have to make a commitment. You have to make a strong commitment to respectful living.
Mm.
You know, it's like, you know, and really own it. Respectful living. That is saying that you are not better than me and you are not less than me. You know, we are equal people and we deserve a level of respect. Nothing should fall below that level of respect. Okay. So if you start to disrespect somebody, what happens is that you think that you are better than them. You think you're one up because I'm better than you. And so I can talk to you this way and I have the right to disrespect you in this way. And if you take it, then that means you believe that you're less than.
Well, what if somebody's disrespecting you and you don't want to fight? Like you just kind of let certain things slide because you're like, okay, I'm married, I got children. You know, I can't talk this person out of being disrespectful. So I'm going to just ignore it and let it go. What about that?
The issue is that avoiding conflict is still conflict. The conflict is still there, whether you avoid it or not. Avoiding conflict is still conflict. And the thing is that over time, I mean, that's abusive. That's emotionally and psychologically abusive. If you are allowing, and if you're allowing someone to disrespect you, and it's not speaking their mind, it's saying it in a way where they're calling you names. They're being contemptuous. Is that a word?
It's a word tonight.
They're being demeaning. They're being disrespectful to you. You have to cut it off and say, hey, this conversation is getting less than respectful. And so we need to start over again. And we need to commit ourselves to making sure that we have a high level of respect for each other. Not even a high level of respect, just respect.
Well, you know what I believe too is one thing people miss out on when they don't get help in their relationships is they don't understand there's like a functional aspect to just how you can, the little things you can do to just communicate, you know, like learning how to talk to each other. Like, you know, because I see a lot of people where they'll start going back and forth and they don't even know how to argue or how to debate or how to disagree.
It's so hard, especially when you get triggered. Oh my goodness, Boyce. You trigger me sometimes. And I have to go, oh my God, I'm being triggered. I gotta go. So I immediately like walk away. But then like I walk away and then I come back and be like, okay, I need to talk to you about what you just said.
Well, you know, one thing is that the fact that the fact that you always come back.
I do come back.
Right. And that actually, I have found that has really helped, you know, our relationship, because there's some people who will walk away and never come back. Right. And I think that, you know, it's that's what it is. I think if I had to pick sort of something that really helps make a relationship work is I think being with a person that will always come back, that will always circle back, be pissed off, walk away, and then circle back and say either I'm sorry or let's talk about this or I'm so mad at you, just something, right? Because some people will go outward. and it's like,
and they never come back. And, that's stonewalling, of course. But,
is it called stonewall?
Yeah, it's a clinical term, but.
No, I mean, I've heard it. I mean, it's one of the four horsemen, right?
The four horsemen, right.
Stonewalling. What are the four horsemen of an argument?
Contempt, stonewalling, criticism, and defensiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, you have to learn how to come back. But usually when I come back, like if you trigger me or something, if I come back to you, I usually enlist like, okay, boys, this is what I need from you. So I come back and I have to make myself vulnerable because that's where I'm using my voice, my throat chakra, right? That's where I'm using my voice and I'm saying, Boyce, I think I understand what you're talking about. So I'm showing some empathy. And then I'm saying to you, okay, this is what I need from you. And that's making myself vulnerable to be able to recognize what I need and to be able to articulate that to you. It puts me in a vulnerable situation. So you have to be in a relationship. You have to be willing to make yourself vulnerable. And then I come and I say, Boyce, please, what's going on? I need this from you.
Okay.
And then you decide whether you're going to do it. Yes, no, or maybe not.
Yeah. This is really interesting. Okay, I've learned a lot.
Okay, are we done?
Yeah, I'm pretty much good.
Okay.
It's I'm looking at the comments. The comments are pretty hilarious.
What do the comments say?
Well, Max Jerome says I'm blessed to have you. So I know Max. I see Max Jerome in my chat. He's a good guy.
Okay.
And Shy from Philly. Okay, it's hard when two people can't bow down and listen to each other. That's true.
Yeah, you do have to submit to each. I think that's what that means. Like that's another thing. Like one person submitting to another. Like y'all submit to each other. But there's caveats to that. I mean, the respect level has to be there. The caveat is I'm not going to submit to you and then you abuse me. That's not going to, that ain't going to work with me for sure,
Yeah.
But you submit to each other, but you do it with compassion, so I'm always looking out for the best interest of you.
Well, that to me, when I think about things like maybe trust or whatever, like I know for me, trust, I have to trust you if I'm going to submit to you. Because if you're an arrogant prick who's going to take advantage of me because I made myself vulnerable to you, I'm not going to make myself vulnerable to you, right? And you have to know that a person is going to, like if I come to you and I say, look, I'm sorry, you don't want somebody who's going to be like, yeah, you should be sorry because you're stupid, and like you want a person that, that's going to be like, yeah, okay, I'm sorry too, and I think that's where I think, like I was impressed with your personality when I really got closer because I'd known you as a friend, but I didn't know you in a relationship. And I found that, that humility, I really liked your humility a lot because I was like, okay, I'm dealing with a person who wants this to work, who's not going to give me a bunch of, BS. Well, like, you know what I mean? Like, because you have some people like that, some people who don't even know how to apologize.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a lot of us, relationships, man, can pull it out of you. You can get triggered and you start, and you know what happens when you get to the being triggered, what's happening there is that your hurt child is coming out. And I don't want to get into the wounded child stuff, but it's there's something in your past where you felt hurt. And I think that's another way to be vulnerable is to say, you know what, when you did that to me, or when you said that to me, it reminded me of what happened to me 10 years ago when something happened. I think a lot of people have been through some trauma and been through some situations. So sometimes you don't see the best in them, but that doesn't mean give up on them. You could see me in therapy, or you can go see another therapist and you can work on yourself. But, just because you do some things that are less than ideal, and I think, okay, so the biggest takeaway I think today is that know that the person you choose to marry and to have a relationship with, you're with that person to learn a lesson. Me and you boys, we've grown so much together. And that's what happens in relationships. You get into a relationship with the very person that's going to teach you what you need to know in order for you to grow as a person. And so that takes hard work. And that's why I think people have misconceptions about what marriage means, that I'm going to marry I have a lot of people in my office where the wife comes in and she's just like, he doesn't do it. I don't know if he loves me. He doesn't tell me he loves. And the husband will be sitting there, well, I married you. Of course I love you because I married you. And that's not enough. It's just like, you have to make that commitment to do the work. And in that, you check each other and you grow. You really do grow. Yeah, you grow.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we're done talking now. So we actually have there's a YouTube channel if you like to if you like this kind of stuff. The blacklovechannel.com. So feel free to go to the blacklovechannel.com and subscribe. And we kind of have these conversations and I like it because I like to also in fact I'm going to actually invite some therapists in and stuff like that, like Tia Brown and some others that can just give you some points of view that may help you in solving your problems. Like, I can't really always tell you exactly what my opinion is, and not that my opinion really matters, but I think hearing from a lot of points of view and encouraging you to get help, right? Like when you talk about, like people ask me, I'd like to reiterate this point that people ask me, like, why do you talk about relationships? Like, you're a financial guy. Well, people who understand money understand that relationships and money are linked, that forming the right relationships can make your life a lot easier financially and otherwise. And also divorce and breaking up and baby mama drama and all that stuff is really costly. Being a single mother puts you in the lowest bracket of net income. Also, being a single father will put you in the lowest bracket because the child support courts are pretty ruthless financially. So if you have a partner that you can partner with on building whatever it is you're trying to build, and you can get along with that person, then that's a good thing. So you should get help. That's it. Like therapists, books, videos, whatever you can do. So that's why we're putting ourselves out there. If I look a little awkward and partially uncomfortable, it's because I am. I'm not used to talking about my personal life, publicly. If I were perfect, then it'd be easy, right? But I know I'm not perfect, and but then again, maybe that's the best way I can support you, because I want whatever your happiness looks like, I just want you to find it. And I said, I know we talked, and I want to make this point clear too. I know we mentioned Kevin Samuels a couple of times, and I just want to keep reiterating, like, I don't have any issue with the guy. I don't think he's a bad person, and I don't want it to become that. I want it to just become that, where I said, okay, maybe there's other points of view out there that need to be kind of shared too. And that's what it is, right? So it's not one of those like, oh, why is he, saying these things? It's not, I'm not into that. All right. So anyway, I'm out of here. Subscribe to the Black Love Channel, theBlackLoveChannel.com. And those of you who are watching on the 13th, our Generational Wealth Conference is this weekend in the Black Business School. So you can go to generationalwealthconference.com. We'll talk about wills and trusts, estate planning, taxes, life insurance, different insurance policies, real estate, and stock market investing. Julian Gordon will be there, as well as Yolanda Spivey and a lot of other experts. So feel free to go. And Nicole Compton, who's an attorney, and a lot of other good people. So feel free to go to generationalwealthconference.com. That's generationalwealthconference.com. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day. Thanks for listening. I'll see you soon. Peace.